Yes, 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 we're back, we're back, we're back. It is another Tuesday evening, and you are listening to Soul Perspectives here on CKUT 90.3 FM. My name is Kim Dominique Ferguson, and we have a special guest joining us from very far away. And she's on the line with us right now. Her name is Wakenya. Oh my God. Why did I just pull a blank? Kabuì Clewis. And she I don't even want to really say too much because she is a multifaceted, multi-talented person. And I was just really excited that we could get you on the air. Thank you so much for joining us, Wakenya.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you. You?
Good. I'm doing all right, all things considered. So,
all things considered, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Ooh, it's a lot to tell. So obviously, my name is Wakenya. My name actually means belonging to Kenya. It is a Kikuyu name. My mom named me this because she likes to be creative with names. Unlike most Kenyans, we didn't go the route of taking up English first names. It's just to name all the kids Kikuyu names all the way through. I am 33. We'll be turning 34 next month. Oh God, hashtag getting old. And I am an immigrant. I've been living in the U.S. for 7 years now. I just went past 7 years on the 13th, so...
Happy anniversary.
I am a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I have a toddler. I'm an entrepreneur. So I run my own business because, again, finding employment in the United States was really difficult for me, despite the fact that I had a bachelor's degree in communication. So I just had to create my own employment to gain some kind of fulfillment from what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Instead of falling on an 8 to 5 that I really, really despise, you know.
Hashtag immigrant problems.
Yes, hashtag immigrant life. Yes. Oh dear. Let's get started on that one. What else? Yes, I am a tattoo enthusiast and aspiring tattoo model. Again, being a person of color, it is a bit trickier to get to where we want to get and get accurate representation and the same chances, but I am staying with it. I am an avid photographer. People don't actually know that. Something I just do for fun. I sing, I dance, I draw, I paint, play the piano, do a lot of things. Basically, that's me in a nutshell. And I'm a huge activist.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to speak my mind, as you have seen.
Yes, I've seen because we actually met on TikTok. You came up in my For You page, and I followed you, and I find you have a very strong voice, which is why I wanted to have you come in and speak with us on the air. So yeah, right. So on the topic of TikTok, your last, I would say, 10 to 20 video posts have been quite fiery, I will say, as you've been having to defend yourself quite a bit and defend your point of view. Could you tell us a little bit about what that's been about?
Okay, so in a nutshell, it's about the misrepresentation of Africa as a continent. So I'm gonna quote two movies. One, Black is King, is what really sparked this debate, and then it led into cultural appropriation. It led into other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that a lot of Americans don't really see an accurate depiction of Africa. They don't realize we are as diverse as it gets, and they get those ideas from what they see in the media, TV, films, news even.
Yeah.
Channels like CNN will focus on the tiny little villages. They won't show the cities.
Mm-hmm.
The language, the culture. And such movies just further push that rhetoric.
Yes.
But on the other hand, an African American will see it from the point of view of, but they're showing Africa in such a beautiful light. Why are you still complaining? At least they're not showing the villages and the little huts and the poverty. I'm like, that's true.
Yeah.
However, there is a way, even in a fictional setting, there's a way to show the architecture of a location,
And reverence to the culture.
Exactly, present the culture. Maybe hire an African actress. That's exactly where the ground of it is. I was like, you're telling a story about us without us.
Yeah.
Just like the Lion King did. And I said that to someone and they said, you know what, you're right. But I have, like I said, I've been getting 4 categories of people. One, African Americans who agree with my point of view as an African. I have African Americans who are completely fighting me on it and saying you should be grateful, or but Beyonce did her best, she did her research. I'm like, Then there's Africans who agree with me, which is the majority, because again I'm speaking on their behalf. But also there are ironically also Africans who are disagreeing with me.
Right.
So it's been a very interesting journey, to say the least. But I'm really trying to get to people. And even if I understand I won't get to everyone and we don't have to agree to see it the same way, I'm hoping my point of view gets through to them and they can try to see things from the other side.
And even if they don't agree, it's not so much a matter of everybody coming together and singing Kumbaya. It's more a matter of understanding that there are different ways of portraying this, because and one thing that you've been really adamant about is respect, because you've had some people who have been quite rude on the app.
Yes.
Like what's been going on? What's been happening?
Ooh, so this might rub people the wrong way, but it has to be said. There are, because of the way we've grown up, right? Africans versus African Americans, aka Black Americans. Our cultures are very different. Our environments have shaped the way we are and how we see things.
Yeah.
I, as a Kenyan, having grown up where I grew up, middle-class family, my dad worked at the Kenya Railways. He worked with other British people.
Right.
He had British friends. I grew up around white people, so I'm not biased toward them because I didn't get treated badly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, coming here, the Africans who've lived here, African Americans, they've grown up in a very hostile environment, which I understand and I acknowledge.
Absolutely.
And I've said this in videos. I've said I acknowledge that I've had a privileged upbringing in that regard. So already off the bat, they are very defensive. Again, not all of them. Some of them are defensive, but they keep themselves in check. They're like, this is not me speaking, it's my experience. Let me try to listen to what she's saying. Exactly, my pain coming through the wrong way. And those are the ones who've been really fighting me. So for those in that case, I have gotten my son, I think you saw the comment, someone called my son a half-breed.
Yep.
I was like, wow, that's uncalled for. I posted a video about how you can absorb a culture without appropriating it.
Right.
And the best way to explain things for me sometimes is giving examples, right? Examples or analogies or whatever you want to call them. And I said, for example, there's no reason why my white boyfriend has more knowledge of Kenya and Africa. He's been to Africa, by the way, way before we met. He went to Burkina Faso. And he's one of those people who just absorbs into their culture, you know? I was like, there's no reason he should know more about Africa than you, an African American who claims Africa is your homeland. And boy, did that rub people the wrong way. Ooh, it rubbed people the wrong way. Ooh, I had to delete a few comments because they were just nasty.
Right.
Yeah, someone literally said, oh, you have bias toward African Americans. I was like, no, I don't. I was like, if anything, ironically, you have bias against Africans because, again, they've also had certain experiences with Africans. And I'm not going to speak for everyone because I have not had that experience. But some African Americans have made it clear that they've had really negative interactions with Africans who moved to the States, you know, because, they look down on us. I was like, I don't understand why they do that. But however, on the other hand, having received the other grant of the other side, where they attack you for trying to tell them how to absorb their own culture from back home and their heritage, then they come at you. I can see why that might have happened.
What do you mean?
I mean, this whole bias against, Africans, right? Which is what I'm labeling xenophobia, because you can't call it racism if you're two black people,
Right.
But I have experienced xenophobia, and that comes in where they, as African Americans, not everyone again, some people, they feel inferior to Africans.
Right.
So off the bat, there's no channel for communication. There are already these preconceived notions.
Right. So they're already in conflict before they're even having a conversation.
There you go. So and so when you already have the conversation and you sound, again, our education is also different. So we may be more educated in some areas than here, which in general, the American education is, how do I say this gently?
No, say it frankly. Just say it.
Frankly.
Yeah.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
The education system in America.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why I'm homeschooling my son, because I have seen the product of the American system, and I'm just like, wow.
But I mean, it's a prison to pipeline system, so it's going to be made that way, right?
Right. Exactly. It doesn't open people up enough. It's very tunnel vision, if you will.
Right.
More Africans are taught more about America and Europe than the other way around. Most Americans are not taught a lot about Europe and Africa.
Right.
But I moved here, I know more about America. Someone is like, oh, can you name the 50 states? You're saying, can we name 10 African countries? I'm like, yes, I can. I can recite the states. Because I learned that before I even immigrated here.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the experience. So someone came to me and they said, but you understand, the reason why we're saying you're arrogant is because I think people have had really bad experiences with Africans, and we feel like you're talking down on us, and we feel like you're being condescending, and we also feel like you're better than us, and that you're not accepting us. Then they're like, we're feeling pain because even in America, we don't feel like we belong. But then we turn to our heritage in Africa, we also don't feel like we belong. So that's why we're so bitter. And I'm like, oh, I see that point of view now,
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I can be a bit intimidating. So I understand why someone would feel that way. But at the same time, most of my followers give me amazing feedback. By now, I think someone would have said, hey, like, you're a bit condescending or something,
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be rude, but you come off this way. No one has said anything until I went against Black is King. That's when all this started.
And Black is King is what?
It's Beyonce's amazing film. Okay, that's it depends on who is looking at it, I guess.
Right.
You know the irony of that? Do you know who brought me on to Black is King?
Tell me.
My African American client.
Okay.
Married to a Nigerian man. She literally told me, and she's a film producer as well. She has a lot of objectivity when it comes to this. She said, I did not like the film before I even watched it. I was like, tell me more. And then she goes into it. She says, I feel it's a bit of cultural appropriation. I feel there's a bit of misrepresentation, a lot of generalization of Africa, fantasy. I was like, I need to watch this. So suffice to say, I was a sourpuss the whole time I was watching it. But I watched it. And then I brought my view and I said, you know what, I agree. This is so to get the fighting and the resistance from the African Americans. I'm like, yeah, it's quite something.
And you've mentioned cultural appropriation quite a bit, and it has been a very, I would say, a hot topic in the past 5 years or so here in Canada and of course the United States. Yeah, we had a huge the student body, the Caribbean Student Union at Concordia University, and McGill's student body, the Black student bodies came together, and we had a whole discussion about cultural appropriation versus appreciation.
Right.
So just in case some of our listeners may not know, what is cultural appropriation for you?
Okay, the way I define it is partaking in a culture that you don't understand.
Okay.
Anything. It could be an item of clothing. It could be a symbolic, gizmo. Basically, anything that you think you should absorb without researching it, without understanding where it comes from, why it exists,
right,
who uses it. That kind of stuff is what I call appropriation.
So, for example, someone traveling to Kenya and then going to buy an item of clothing and not knowing or realizing that item of clothing is actually for sacred purposes or for specific rituals, like a wedding or I don't know, insert whatever ceremony here, and then wearing it to go and like sit down at a barbecue.
Right.
So that would be appropriation.
There is an element of ignorance there, which, again, ignorance is not knowing, right?
Right.
But willful ignorance is not knowing and being okay with not knowing.
Right.
And that's the difference to me. Because even I have had to learn about that as well. I love, like, the saris, the Indian culture. Again, I grew up around Indians.
Right.
I went to school with them. And I've always loved the way they dress. But it's more than that. It's like a Muslim. Watching a Muslim wearing a hijab, you're like, oh my God, that looks so pretty. Can I wear it? But it's like, yes, but can you find out why it's worn?
Right.
What does it mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just something they put on the head to look pretty. There's meaning behind it, and that's exactly it. So in the African American context, I had brought up the Ankara dressing, the Ankara shirts, Ankara dresses.
Right.
And oh wow, let's just say 99% of the feedback I got was not very positive.
Wow.
0.01 was like, I see your point. Because they don't want to be told that. I was like, I understand that you want to embrace your culture. I understand you want to embrace your heritage. However, there's a way to go about doing it.
Right.
Find out why we wear that. What it means, where it comes from. Waist beads, exactly the same. And I've used waist beads as a very good example.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen a few videos, it's like, they're beautiful, yes, but can you try to find out where they come from?
Right. What are the
and
significance?
What they might mean.
Right.
Exactly.
Because when it comes to certain cultures, certain colors are associated with deities and gods,
mm-hmm.
and they're worn on specific days and for specific rituals, and not just waist beads, but necklaces and earrings and headdresses. It's a whole. There's knowledge to be gained and an exchange
mm-hmm.
that could be very positive if people are just open to it, to learning it.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. You just need to be able to learn. Just learn, And the other aspect of it as well, I don't know what to call this. It's not really appropriation. It's just ironic, I guess. When someone says Africa is my motherland, but then the same individual doesn't know where Kenya is. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
mm-hmm.
if that's my motherland and I grew up knowing that's my motherland, wouldn't I want to study on it?
Mm-hmm.
And this day and age of Google and YouTube, access to resources, like, you have no excuse for ignorance at this point in time. That's my opinion, which people don't like to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just in case you're tuning in for the first time, we are talking to Wakenya Kabuì Clewis. And she is from Kenya and in the States right now, multifaceted, multi-talented person, an entrepreneur as well. But we're going to have to take a quick break. We will be coming back to you and talking more about cultural appropriation, language, the African language, and more and beyond. Please keep it locked. You are listening to Soul Perspectives here on CKUT 90.3 FM.